Yeah, eat, sleep, fantasy, you rockin' with the best. NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We talking mock drafts, running backs, better follow the conversation with
John,
Dale, Christian, and Armando. Screaming Eat Nation, we doing what we like. Tune in every week, guarantee we get it hype. Fantasy, football enthusiasts, I know you plan to be joining us on Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Yeah, Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Eat, Sleep, Fantasy.
All right, welcome to another episode of Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. I'm your host, Armando Crespo, and it's my first time or second time, so please be patient. And with me is Clayton.
What's up? How's things?
Pretty good, man. Just recovering from the storm. We was in the Bahamas, and we got annihilated. I'm just kidding. We were in the Bahamas. I was in Wilmington. We got Category 1 storm. It was perfectly fine. Thank God. Everyone pray for the Bahamas. They got fucked up.
They did. See, yeah, I don't have to. That's why I'm happy I live in Canada. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I got to worry about the cold, and that's about it in wintertime.
You know, you just got hit with Dorian over there on the other side of Canada.
Yeah,
so.
it is. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's so far from me, man. That's us. That's so far.
I know. We're Wilmington now, and it's, if anyone doesn't know, it's North Carolina. And we're like, oh, I think we're going to move to Canada. We're tired of like hurricanes, global warming, blah blah. And then you guys get hit with a hurricane. Now I'm like terrified. I don't think anywhere's safe anymore, man.
We're west, so they right beside us in BC. They in Vancouver they felt like the earthquakes. So we're just right beside them, though. We don't feel any of that stuff.
You guys got fires, though.
We do. Actually, in Alberta, we're probably the worst, probably.
Are you really?
Yeah.
For what? Fires?
Oh, wildfires? Yeah, like crazy. We had one a few years back. They just had another huge one this year as well.
Oh, geez. You're not really selling me on Canada over there, Clayton.
It's a beautiful place, man. Beautiful place.
All right, so we're going to talk about week one. We're going to go all the games up to 4 o'clock games, and we'll save the last two for tomorrow. But before we go off, we're going to talk a little bit about Antonio Brown. So over the weekend, he was released by the Oakland Raiders. He asked for a release and then was released. Within a few hours, he was signed to the New England Patriots. I'm sure everyone knows this, and I just want to give our take on this. First and foremost, I want to say that I don't think this helps anybody except the running backs in New England. I think this is just going to downgrade Antonio Brown, Edelman, and Josh Gordon. I think they're all wide receiver 2s to 3s the rest of the season. So I know it's a little different from everyone else's view, but that's just how I see it.
So and then I heard news about Gronk possibly returning to this team. So it's going to be pretty insane if that happens.
Yeah,
but
it's crowded as heck.
Yeah.
Man.
So, but my concern with that is like in this offense, isn't it usually like Tom Brady it's Tom Brady's way or the no way? You know what I mean? Yeah. And is he going to be okay with Antonio Brown's just freelance route running and all that stuff like that?
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
He didn't have any preseason with them, so I don't know how long it's going to take. I mean, it is Tom Brady and it is Antonio Brown, two of the best at their position.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
Maybe they'll mesh right away, but maybe they won't. If I have Antonio Brown, I think his value is at an all-time high. I think you can get some value for him. People see him probably as a high-end wide receiver 1 because he has Tom Brady. I think sell him if you can. If you can get like Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, I think that's definitely jump on that.
I don't know. I was trying to. I have him in a dynasty league. I'm in with a bunch of buddies. It's like a dynasty auction league, and I have him for like $46 or something like that. And I just that was my biggest issue. I needed him badly this week, and just wasn't there. I tried to deal him, and just nobody wanted to bite. But now that he's playing for the Pats, I think I'm going to try to put a few offers out there to see who I can get for him.
Yeah, it's going to be a few weeks before you get him 100%, and I don't know. I don't think he's going to be what you think he will be. Next year, sure, if it's Dynasty, maybe he'll be a wide receiver 1 again. Right now, it's going to take a long time for him to be worth that value.
Yeah, it just the whole situation's just really weird in general, too. Everyone's like, just touch on this real quick here. My opinion on this whole thing is, like, everyone's talking how he's, crazy and stuff like that. And I don't know, this seems to me that it was something that was coming for a long time. As far as, like, he wanted out of Oakland. He was forced to go there through the trade. And then I think he, like, found out that New England was interested again, and then kind of forced his way out,
Yeah. More power to him. I mean, he lost a lot of money in the process, he's going to be winning a lot of games. He might even win a ring.
Yeah, exactly.
Win a ring for the first time.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
So let's talk about the first game on our slate, and it's going to be the Buccaneers versus the 49ers. The score was 31-17, and for fantasy purposes, I'm going to talk about the 49ers first. Tevin Coleman went down with an injury.
Yeah.
And Dante Pettis did nothing. Those are the big hot takes.
That surprised me big time. Like, he one catch for 7 yards, and that was it. Not sure the snap counts yet, because those aren't out yet, but I was shocked about that. There was all that talk about, all the stuff with Shanahan and stuff like that. Not proving his wide receiver 1 status in training camp, and everyone kind of just thought that was a motivation thing. But now I'm kind of slightly concerned.
Yeah, I mean, 1 target, 1 reception is terrifying. I mean, it's not like anyone else on the roster did anything besides George Kittle.
Oh, he was a beast.
Or Greg Kittle. Yeah,
George
he was
Kittle.
amazing.
George Kittle.
But he's the only guy that's worth a damn right now in the 49ers. I mean, they did win the game against the measly Buccaneers, but I don't know. What are we going to do about this running back position? Who is the new running back over there, and how serious is this injury?
Well, exactly. Like, he didn't return, so obviously in this one, Breida had the most attempts with 15, and wasn't he number 1 on the depth chart anyways?
Yeah,
but with a 2.5 yards per carry, that's not very good. But it was go back to your guy from last year. Remember, Raheem Mostert? I think is going to.
That's my man.
Yeah, I think he's going to see a lot more carries come next week, depending on the severity of this injury to Coleman.
Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, you're the waiver wire guy. If the Tevin Coleman injury is serious, he's going to be on your the top tier of the guys to grab, right?
Yeah, it could be a big list of guys this weekend or for week 2, and a lot of receivers stepped up that just shocked me this week.
Yeah, it was a weird week. So now on the Buccaneers side, I think the biggest takeaway was Ronald Jones out-carried Peyton Barber for 13 carries versus 8. He had 75 yards, so hopefully he's able to, carry the ball that much the rest of the season. He could be useful.
Well, 5.8 yards per carry as well. That's more than he had all last year, I think, in one game he had.
Yeah. Yeah. The game flow was weird because they were down early. They were in the game, and Peyton Barber was getting the work. But once they kind of started going down, Ronald Jones started getting the load, and he looked good. So hopefully they carry on through this, moving forward.
Yeah, I hope Ronald Jones does well. I hope he does, because he's got talent. That kid does, right? So
yeah, he wouldn't be a second round draft pick if he wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't have talent.
And like Winston just looked horrendous today.
Yeah,
he just
3 interceptions. It's awful.
And then and another big huge takeaway from this game too is Cameron Brate versus OJ Howard. I mean, yeah, OJ Howard was targeted more, but red zone, Cameron Brate still looks like he's that guy. I mean, he had both those touchdowns called back today, but he was still looked at.
Yeah, he's probably going to be he's going to end up being a top 12 guy just based off touchdowns throughout the season. He's going to get 3 a game at twice this season, and he's going to end up being in the top 12 just because of those points and touchdowns. So see how that progresses. Mike Evans didn't do jack shit.
5 targets.
And I invested so much on him.
So did I. Between him and Godwin both, I actually drafted both of them in a league, and I'm thankful that I had Lamar Jackson on that team, because that's the only reason I'm going to win this week.
Nice. Yeah, it was. I feel like week 1. Before we move forward, I feel like week 1 is always the flukiest week of the season, and you shouldn't take too much away from this. Like, don't go out and drop Dante Pettis and don't go out and trade Mike Evans for, DJ Chark.
No, yeah.
Like, just wait it out. It's going to take 2 or 3 weeks before everyone kind of gets into a rhythm of the football. But it's interesting to see how, who's ready for football and who's not. Because Mike Evans sure fucking wasn't, and neither was Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I know. Another thing I wanted to point out on my waiver wire for this week, my pickup of the week, Dare Ugumbawali.
Right, yep.
You know what? He was targeted 5 times, caught 4 passes for 33 yards. So it's his position. We clearly know where he's standing in this running back position, right? He's a third down back, pass catching back. So,
right.
I mean, and
yeah,
like five targets for him. That's pretty decent.
That's great for a running back. I mean, he's like a Chris Thompson, like a Darren Sproles in this offense. So he's going to be targeted a lot. I mean, I don't think Ronald Jones should be. I think Ronald Jones should be involved as well. I mean, he had 1 target and for 18 yards. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, all the running backs are really involved. Peyton Barber had 4 targets. So it's just going to be interesting how this evolves. But Dare Ogabawaya is definitely the best pass catcher and definitely the best pass blocker. So when they're in passing downs, he's going to be out there.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's move on to the Giants versus Dallas. Dallas, this game was actually tight for a long time. But Dallas pulled away 17-35. I guess the biggest takeaway from the Giants side was Evan Ingram was a complete beast. He had 14 targets for 116 yards.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
I mean, I had him at number 4 this year. I mean, he could overtake Ertz possibly, maybe even Kelsey. He could be a top 3 guy by the end of the season. If these numbers consist, that's ridiculous.
If he's looked at that much by Eli, and like Eli Manning, I don't know the last time I saw him throw for over 300 yards in a game.
This was a weird game.
He looked decent, and it was good to see they got Daniel Jones out there when the game was out of hand. I think that was just to say, well, at least we know he's here. It's still Eli's team, but here's what he can do, right?
They kind of brought him out early, too. It's like, I mean, it was 17-35, so it wasn't a complete blowout. So he had a chance to really get in the game. He had 4 tosses. So that's not, I think they put him out earlier than they usually would for a team really getting blown out.
But a big lost fumble there at toward the end of the game there, too.
Yeah. Well, no one else was really stood out for me out of the wide receivers. I mean, Sterling Shepard got 7 targets with 42 yards, which is okay, but... I mean, right now I don't feel like you can really trust anyone in the receiving besides Evan Ingram. And obviously, Barkley looked amazing, 11 carries for 120 yards. We don't have to really talk about that too much.
It shocked me that he was it Gallman that got the touchdown?
Yeah.
That kind of shocked me a little bit.
Yeah, it was it was a weird one. I don't know, but I don't know. Yeah, let's go to the Cowboys side. Dak Prescott looked pretty good. He had 400 yards with 4 touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott, they split carries down the middle, him and Pollard. We expected this. They said he was going to be on snap count. He wasn't there all preseason, so we expected it. Pollard did not look nearly as good as Elliott. He got half of the yards with the same amount of carries. So the guy that really stood out for me, I was not expecting this, was Gallup. Bro, he had 7 receptions for 158 yards.
Well, they were talking him up like he was a sleeper this year as well, right? And who else do they have really on this team outside of Cooper? So somebody had to step up in that, that wide receiver 2 role. And they were calling for that all year, so.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't expect them to throw this much with Ezekiel Elliott, and they're going to throw a lot less moving forward. I do think this was probably Gallup's best game of the season. Probably.
Yeah,
as far as yards go.
Yeah, exactly. I could see that for sure.
And I think Cooper's Cooper. He's going to be. I think he was undervalued this season. I think he's going to be a steady wide receiver 1, low end wide receiver 1. But I think these are the numbers you should kind of see from him: 9 targets, 6 receptions, and a touchdown. So that's pretty good. So it's going to be interesting to see how this offense develops as Ezekiel Elliott gets, going.
And goddamn Jason Witten.
I know. I had a guy text somebody, wait, Jason Witten didn't retire? What the fuck is
Yeah, exactly. I had just had this argument with a buddy of mine. He's like, yeah, he's going to get at least 6 touchdowns this year. I'm like, bullshit. He can't catch a ball. Oh, there he is, catching balls.
There he is. 3 receptions.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, we're doing this. That's awesome. I mean, they are Super Bowl caliber team. We'll see what happens.
And
why not?
And
come back?
Randall Cobb 4 receptions for 69 and a touchdown as well. That was impressive as well. So he's off 5 targets. So he's going to be, he's going to have a little role in this offense as well moving forward.
You think he's going to make your waiver wire column?
You know what? Maybe not this week. I want to see one more week out of him. But there's other guys that I'm, not even guys that. There's quite a few guys that went off this week, but there's one guy in particular which we'll get to him, Jamison Crowder. He had a ridiculous game. Like guys like that, I can see, and I said that he was going to have a big game. I think in one of my articles, I said he was going to.
Right.
Just because they've been in preseason, you look at how he played in preseason and everything like that, and he was used. And they don't have anybody else to throw the ball to, right? Robbie Anderson was hurt, but we'll jump into that when we get to that boring game.
Yeah, it was an awful game. Just so before you start writing a waiver wire column, I feel like you kind of go. You tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like you look at snap counts and you look at targets and you see the receptions. You see how there's guys who are on the field for 25% of the plays. And they end up with 100 yards and a touchdown. You don't that's not sustainable. That was just a lucky fluke.
Yeah, or if if it's like a guy that catches, 2 passes for 115 yards. Well, but he, so he was only targeted twice. That he's not going to I want to. He's not used enough, right? That was just 2 plays that he got lucky in, and maybe scored one on that, right? Broke one
entire
off big,
Lockett.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's move on to the tie of the week. Detroit Lions in Arizona. They ended at 27-27. I feel like the Lions had this game in the bag, and then somehow
they blew it in the fourth quarter. It was a third. Was it a 3rd and 1 or something like that? I believe it was a 3rd and long, but they threw it, got the first down, but called the timeout before the snap. So then. They had to replay that down, and then they lost it. They had to punt it away. And then I believe Arizona blocked it. It could be a different game, but I don't know.
Either way, I don't feel like any of these 2 teams are going to make the playoffs. I don't think any of these teams are very good, so it is what it is. The biggest takeaway is I feel like Kerryon Johnson, C.J. Anderson, they almost split carries. Kerryon Johnson's obviously one to own. But the biggest takeaway was T.J. Hawkinson and Danny Amendola went crazy.
Yeah, Hawkinson looked like Gronk, just big body, just caught everything, and it was crazy watching that. And I saw that through tape, watching him through college, and I was like, I want to see this in the NFL. I just did, and a guy like that will make my waiver wire, just because the tight end position is so slim as is. Yeah, and you got a guy to put. He was targeted 9 times today.
That's a lot. Yeah. Amendola was targeted 13. Yeah. So they're both. I imagine they're both going to be on your waiver wire column. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I have to write a 5-page waiver wire article.
Right. This is this is kind of a maybe this is what we're kind of talking about earlier. Is extreme reactions to these things. Danny Amendola isn't the best receiver on that offense. They got Kenny Golladay. Yeah. It's gonna go back to the mean, but still, that's
what I'll tell you right now. What I'll probably do with this article this week is I probably will write up a bunch of guys, but then underneath I'll probably be other speculative ads, right? You know what I mean? Or else.
Yeah, I could see Amendola not being on your waiver wire column, being the speculative ad. Okay, he got 13 targets,
but his touchdown, they completely forgot about him. He was wide open.
Oh yeah, that 47-yard. Yeah. Yeah, I personally, I'm not going to add him, and I don't trust him, but still, that's interesting to see. You never sneeze at 13 targets. That's a lot. Yeah. So over on the Arizona side, David Johnson was David Johnson. He looked good. Keyshawn Johnson, he got a shit ton of targets, man. 10.
That it gets carried over all the way from preseason. That rapport he has with Murray, that's exactly what it was in preseason. The games that Murray did play in.
Yeah. I do want to note that Christian Kirk got 12 targets. He only got 32 yards, but that's a lot of targets. He's on the field a lot. I think he's going to end up, having a way better season than this game shows. He is, on the field. He has his eye. He's going to be there. So if I would buy him low if you could.
Oh,
personally.
he's definitely their wide receiver 2 on that team as well. Larry Fitz looked very good still too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like this happens with older players, and you tell me if I mean, this is just my opinion. I feel like, you remember Steve Smith back in the day? He had like the first 5 games of the season, he was just like the best wide receiver in the game. And after game 6, he was a nobody. Like he was on the field, but he got like 1 reception for 30 yards, and that was it for the rest of the season. He was just a hot garbage.
Yeah, I hope Fitz can kind of have a decent season to finish off his career. Would be awesome because he's like one of my favorite wide receivers.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's one of the best of all time. So, personally, if you own Larry Fitzgerald, sell high. This is not sustainable. He's old.
And
that's just too much.
And you're not going to get 3 guys getting double-digit targets in this offense. Like Murray threw 54 times today. So,
yeah, that's a lot.
And he didn't
They're not going to
look,
win games.
Yeah,
that
he
way.
didn't look very good. And I never paid attention to his size. Like whatever, I knew he was tiny or whatever, but watching him run a few times, man, he's small. His legs are really fast and just baby steps. I was what the hell? But he could sling a ball, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he threw a shit ton of yards.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's anything else to know from this game. I mean, everyone else looked what you expect. The next game we're going to go on to is Cincinnati and Seattle. Surprisingly, Cincinnati stayed in the game for a long time. They lost 20-21. Russell Wilson threw the ball for only 20 times and still won the game. I do not understand how that happens. But the interesting thing to note is DK Metcalf looked like a wide receiver 1 in this offense.
I agree.
Like, that's a little crazy. 6 targets. Tyler Lockett got 2 the entire game. Like, that's crazy. And he's a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, and did you notice Lockett? It looks like, I don't know. It's like he's had the same issue every year. He's just like that guy that like will just go off for like 2 catches for, you know what I mean, for 40 yards and a touchdown or 60 yards and a touchdown, right? I don't know if he is the actual. I think they're looking for a wide receiver 1 in this offense. And like,
I don't know if he is
Metcalf looked great. Metcalf looked very good today.
Yeah, no, he did. And Chris Carson and PPR he had 7 targets for 6 receptions. He was their top receiver, really. So that's interesting to see. Penny didn't get any love on that aspect. So
no.
I started him in a league because I was desperate, and he was a no-show.
Who's it? Oh, Penny?
Yeah. I thought the Seahawks were going to blow him out, so let's give this guy a lot of carries and give him some targets. Nope. The Bengals stay in the game, and Penny didn't get shit. Bad call on my end.
There's a few bad calls on I think everybody's roster this week already.
Yeah,
a lot of guys didn't show up. But Carson, I expected to show up though, just because of all the hype he was getting, and I think he's a great running back. I didn't think he would catch the ball this many times though. That was kind of shocked me a little bit.
That wasn't him last year, but it's nice to see that this year. Like, I liked him a lot last year, and this year he was going a little higher than I liked in most drafts, so I didn't take him anywhere. But yeah, I mean, if he's getting these targets, he's going to be an RB1 the entire season. The numbers don't show it right now, but 7 targets and the majority of the carries, that's going to make you in that territory by the end of the season easily.
He needs to stay healthy though, right?
Yeah, that's why I took Penny. Like, it's just a matter of time with this guy.
Exactly. But especially if he's getting that much work too, right?
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. If he stays healthy, I love the guy. He's a running back 1. Over on the Bengals side, which was a little crazy, Mixon got injured. I don't know how serious it is, but I think he's going to be out for a while, and I am heartbroken.
Oh, yeah. I invested a lot on a lot of teams, a lot in him. Like, that was like one of my first-round picks.
Yeah, it's not. It's not pretty. So yeah, personally, you tell me if I'm wrong. If he's out for 6-7 weeks, is Giovanni Bernard like a number 1 waiver target?
Yeah, he'll be a waiver. Well, yeah, he'll be the guy, the backup for sure. That'll get probably first choice, and then Trayvon, what's his name? Trayvon Williams.
Yeah,
and I believe they had him inactive today, so we'll probably see him activated for next week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, Giovanni Bernard is the number 1. If the other guy's available, grab him too, because who knows how serious the injury is.
And can you explain this to me? Who is this Andy Dalton guy that throws for 418 yards?
I've never heard of him.
Neither do I.
He's a man.
Like I was playing a guy in this one league, and I'm like looking at. It's kind of one of these weird leagues where we start like one quarterback, two running backs, so on and so forth, but we get like the best of the rest after. So we have a full bench, but we get the best out of. Do you know what I mean? So we actually have to start two quarterbacks, but we get the best of the other two on our bench kind of thing or whatever, if that makes sense or not. But anyways, he had Andy Dalton, so I'm looking, I'm like, oh, I'll be okay. And then I'm like, what the fuck? This guy gets... I'm like, Jesus, I have no chance to beat this guy. I haven't seen stats like that. Andy Dalton I think I might have had him... my 28th ranked running back quarterback this week.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect this at all. I totally expected a blowout, but no, they came out swinging. Again, this is the fluky weeks. Week 1 is just like everyone's still meshing and getting to know each other. I don't know if this is real. If it is, I think the Bengals are for real. Yeah. Maybe they can win a couple more games.
Welcome to the NFL, John Ross. Right? This is what he was supposed to be doing last year.
Right? What the fuck? Yeah. 12 targets, 7 receptions, 158 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Like, he looked like a wide receiver one.
He just, very, very fast. Blew corners away, left, right, and center.
Yeah, it was really nice to see. And Tyler Boyd still looked okay, even without AJ Green. I know that was a big concern for everyone. It's like Tyler Boyd can't perform without AJ Green, and he looked fine. 8 receptions, 60 yards is okay. It's fine.
Yeah, and another guy I thought they would be. Eifert looked pretty decent as well. He was targeted 6 times. Caught 5 balls, and the other one I was kind of shocked that I wanted to see. I think I had him on my waiver wire list was Damian Willis, the undrafted free agent.
Right, he was supposed to take over that role, but
it doesn't look like that. So I'll be suggesting people can drop him, and I believe I could probably put John Ross on that list.
Yeah, I feel like he's on. Even in my dynasty league, he's a free agent. Like he's everywhere available. So snag him up. As long as AJ Green's out, he could be the real deal. I don't know if this is real. Maybe the Seahawks are just that bad against speedy guys. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know now. Just an insane week this week.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the Chargers against the Colts. So the Chargers ended winning this game in overtime, which is really nice to see. Eckler looked. The part.
And you know what? When Eckler got his first touchdown, apparently something came across my phone about Melvin Gordon tweeted something about him, like how he was happy for him, and then all of a sudden it gets deleted.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think and there was a report Gordon was going to be back between week 6 and 8, I believe.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly what I heard.
Yeah.
So. We'll see what happens with that. If you personally, anyone who owns Melvin Gordon, I'm targeting for trades. Like I want him week 8. Like that's fine. A healthy Melvin Gordon to win the playoffs. I'll take it.
What are you going to give me in our dynasty league?
I'll give you. You name it. You name the price. I love Melvin Gordon.
Get out of here. You're not getting him.
So, another big injury that happened in this game before I forget, Mike Williams went down.
Yeah,
so
he did. Yeah, nobody knows how serious that is. He left late in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, he was in there for almost the whole game, but 3 targets for only 29 yards. That's crazy.
Yeah,
he only caught the ball twice. So yeah, I thought he would be involved a lot more than what he was, just because of that hype, right? And everybody, you listen to all that hype, and people are like, there's a lot of people that were down on Mike Williams. I bought in, and I'm like, damn, man. But we'll see what happens. Let's see how bad the injury is. If he's out, who's the next guy up? Then is that?
My guess is Travis Benjamin or Dontrell Inman.
Yeah, or newly.
But acquired, they might be the next guys up. But I don't think they're going to end up being like usable. Yeah. I think it's just going to be Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler the rest of the way.
Eckler looked really good.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it was just the Colts. The Colts are supposed to have a good defense, but maybe it could just be the game. It's just it's the first game of the season. We'll see. But Hunter Henry, maybe he'll be the one that benefits. He still had 5 targets and 4 receptions, so maybe he'll be the biggest beneficiary. So it's between those 3 guys. I don't see anyone else being really viable, and I personally would not. Would you add any of these guys to the waiver wire besides those 3?
No, I wouldn't. Yeah. No, nobody. And I just want to point out too, Justin Jackson actually looked pretty good. He did only rush the ball 6 times, so he was outsnapped 2-1 by Eckler. But It was
almost the same yardage
Yeah.
with half the carries. So
yeah, exactly.
that's interesting.
Yards per carry were not almost 10.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
So over on the Colts side, before I forget, Funchess also went down with an injury. I'm not sure how serious that one is, but it's something to note.
I don't think he left though. I believe
no?
what I read, it said that he was banged up, but he played right through it. So.
Oh, great. Oh, good to hear. That's good. So Marlon Mack went absolutely insane. 25 carries, almost 200 yards, 174 and touchdown. I guess the biggest thing to note is Deion Kane was usable, kind of. I mean, is there another wide receiver to own it with the Colts, or is it just T.Y. Hilton?
T.Y. looked great as well today. Yeah, there was nobody really that did everything that I saw, and any highlight was Marlon Mack or T.Y. That was really it, right? I couldn't believe Marlon Mack. He went bonkers today.
Yeah, I don't know if that's sustainable. Marlon Mack, I don't know why I don't like him. I just don't trust him at all. I just feel like he's just hit or miss sometimes.
Oh, I have no investment in him whatsoever anywhere.
Yeah, I don't either. I think he was. We'll see. I mean, right now I'm totally wrong on Marlon Mack. He looks like the best running back of all time. So who knows?
Yeah, I played some guy in this 20-team league that I'm in. Austin actually drafted for me. Drafted an amazing team. This guy is going to wax me today. He has Dak Prescott, which went off. Derrick Henry went off. Marlon Mack went off. Sammy Watkins went off.
Oh no, that's enough.
Like, it's ridiculous. I have the second most points in this whole thing, and I'm going to lose.
Yeah, that sucks.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, no. In our dynasty league that we're in together, I have Tyreek Hill, Joe Mixon, and Geronimo Allison starting. I total of like 4 points between those three guys. It was not pretty. I was really sad about that. I am like, if any of those guys are out for more than 5 weeks, I am not making the playoffs.
We'll talk about the Tyreek Hill thing when we get there. So,
yeah, we're starting with like some pretty lame games.
Yeah.
The next game we're going to talk about is the Redskins versus the Eagles. Redskins actually were on top for a long time, but the Eagles ended up winning this one.
You know what? I was very shocked with that offense that the Redskins were running.
Right,
I was very impressed. Like Keenum looks like a legit quarterback.
He is a legit quarterback.
Yeah.
He wasn't given a shot with the Broncos. Poor guy.
Yeah. Oh, and like Terry McLaurin went off 5 catches for 125 yards and 1 touchdown. That's a rookie. Targeted 7 times, and he.
Do you think that's realistic? Because I have him on my taxi squad right now, and since I lost Tyreek Hill, I'm kind of nervous about that last flex spot. Should I activate him and use him next week?
Well, depending on who else you have, I would. I'm going to face that same situation in league as well. I would, only because they did throw the ball a ton as well, but you still can't ignore that. Like he's the speed guy out there, right? Which he caught a few balls today that were contested catches, and he came down with them. So I mean, I think he's going to get the trust from Keenum now. I think they might target him frequently now.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's interesting to see. I mean, there was a lot of guys that got some hefty targets. Paul Bridgeton had 7. Vern Davis, like we'll see what translates into game 2 of the season.
Did you see that touchdown by Davis?
No, was it nice?
Oh, it's ridiculous. Catches on the sidelines, jumps over somebody. It was bad tackling. Like, Eagles were terrible. 3 guys on him. He jumps over one guy and just breaks off running. Scores it. I think it was like a 45-yard touchdown or something like that. It was.
Oh, jeez.
It was insane. And a good story on top of that. Broke down crying. Yeah. His grandfather passed away yesterday and all that stuff like that. So good on him.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah. No. Good on him.
Yeah.
Brito actually called this before the game even started. Did you see that message?
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's like, just sent a message. Vernon Davis, anyone? And then he scores. So. Look at Brito. Look at Brito. Knows everything.
Right. The other thing I want to note before we move on from the Redskins is Adrian Peterson was deactivated, and Darius Juice and Thompson were the active running backs. Only 13 carries between the two.
Yeah.
That's not a lot.
No, I'd be pissed if I was Peterson. And apparently I read beforehand a lot of the Redskins players were pissed off that he was deactivated.
Yeah. He was the best running back in the preseason. Like, why would you deactivate him?
1,000-yard rusher last year.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. They should trade him. Like, just send him to Houston and let him be on his way.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm okay moving on to the other thing I want to note. You tell me if I'm wrong. Chris Thompson, anybody? Like, that's 10 targets. He looks really fucking good.
That's his role though, right? He's always been that kind of running back.
Yeah.
And I never buy into him. And maybe I should change that once in a while.
Nah, I mean, this is what happens every year with him. He goes crazy for like the first 5 weeks, and then done. He's done. For the rest of the season, he's out. Literally, he's on injury reserve.
Yeah, gets hurt or something like that. No, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, if he could stay healthy, he's a great waiver wire ad. But I just don't see it like actually being sustainable. But we'll see. That's why they drafted Bryce Love. So on the Eagles side, the running back situation is a fucking mess.
Yeah. They said it. They said it was going to be a three-headed monster, and that's exactly what it was. They all got. Yeah. They almost. Well, I mean, Sanders led with carries, with 11. Didn't do too much with him though at all. 25 yards, and then like old man Sproles. That guy he won't die.
Nope.
He's
one more season.
Yeah, 5.2 yards per carry on nine carries today, and then caught all 3 of his targets as well. Yeah, that's. I mean, Jordan Howard looked good too. Like those two guys look great. Look a lot better than Miles Sanders this week. Oh yeah.
Over in the wide receivers, Deshaun Jackson just went off against his old team.
Exactly, revenge game. I called it. I had him in many DFS lineups, and I actually happened to win $1, so I'm pretty good.
Nice, congrats,
man.
I
didn't lose any money week 1.
That's a good way to start, man. That's a good way to start the season.
And also I invested in Jackson a lot in all my drafts. He was going like super late. Like I think I was getting him in like the 13th, 14th round.
I actually drafted him in one league, and I was going to draft like somebody like a kicker, and I drafted him on accident. Yeah. And I cut him. I cut him the next day. And now I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah. But you know what? This is the same thing. Boomer bust guy, right? You're going to see maybe. Like I think Steve pointed it out on his Twitter account or something like that. Said you'll see a handful of these games and that's it out of him, right? He won't sustain this kind of production. No. He did it last year in Tampa as well, right? He had first 4 weeks he was ridiculous, and then after that he was no good.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that's kind of special about this one, it was 10 targets, but we'll see. I mean Alshon Jeff. I mean it was a weird. I mean the Eagles were down early, so they had to fight back. So we'll see how this actually progresses. Carson went through for 40 times, so I don't think that's going to be the norm for this team. But we'll see. Let's move on to we can really go really fast through this one. The Buffalo and the New York Jets. What a terrible game!
Oh yeah, it was 17-16 game. You know what? I will say this though: the Bills D look good.
Yeah. Oh, the Jets D looked great too. Yeah. I got like 30 points from him on my other teams. I was like, oh fuck yes, I did not. It's like anytime you're playing against the Bills or the Jets, just start those defenses.
Yeah, and on the Bills side of ball, Allen looked pretty decent through 254 yards. The running game I can't believe they only gave Singletary 4 attempts over Gore's 11.
I don't think he even got a carry until the second half.
And he looked good. Look at that, 70 yards on 4 carries.
Yeah, and he had a long for 23, so it's like 2. That's crazy.
Yeah, 5 receptions as well for 28 yards. Get this guy on the field. Like that's you cut Shady and get this guy on the field. Give him the ball. Yeah,
I agree. Like he's their best player right now. John Brown, 10 targets, 123 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah. That's real. I think it is, and I'm not sure what his ownership is, but if it's low, he'll make my waiver wire article as well, because this was talked about in the preseason and how he was one of Allen's favorite targets in practice. In practice, he looked at him a lot, and he's fast as fuck. This guy, yeah.
No, I definitely like. I mean, I don't think the Jets' defense is bad, so I think he performed against a good defense, and let's see how this progresses. But I think he's real. I think he's a wide receiver, 2-3 safely with high upside, clearly. So see how that goes.
Yeah, like they called both these guys, John Brown and Cole Beasley. They said both of these guys are going to get are going to get targeted, and they both were. Like you said, John Brown 10 times, Beasley 9. So I mean, these are their two. They're these wide receiver 1 and 2 on this team. So
yeah, and Singletary got the third most targets with 6. So that's good to see. Like it's going to be. I feel like he's never going to be the feature back this season, but when he is, he's going to be pretty dynamite. Like it's going to be nice.
Yeah.
So over on the Jets side, Sam Darnold looked mediocre. Le'Veon Bell looked okay. 70 carries, 60 yards. It wasn't great, but it was good enough. The biggest thing, like you said earlier, was 17 targets. Holy shit! I didn't even realize how many targets. 17 for Jamison Crowder. So that is crazy.
Yeah, I got him in a dynasty league, and I got him for $1. And I happened to start him this week just because I actually had to start him instead of A. Brown in that league.
That a good start for you, man.
Yeah,
Like
so,
how many points? Was it a PPR league?
It is a PPR. I haven't even looked at how many. Like probably, it's crazy scoring these two leagues. We'll talk about that off air one time. But these two leagues we're in that I'm in with my same buddies for the last 20 years. The scoring is ridiculous.
You got like an extra point for a first down.
Oh yeah,
and all
like
that bullshit.
like the highest scorer like 2 years ago was a kicker. Like we give like crazy bonuses for long field goals.
Right. Nice. That's awesome. So I mean, that's the only thing to know. I mean, if Crowder is going to make your wire, if he's available in enough leagues, he should be picked up everywhere. Like that's a lot of targets.
But I want to point out too that Anderson was, like he was on the injury report all week. Wasn't even sure if he was going to play, so that could have played into the fact that Crowder was targeted so many times. Because Anderson, I guess he was targeted 7 times, but I probably would bump that up by at least double digits in most weeks, right?
Right, I would expect that. I mean, he's a speed guy, so we'll see how that progresses. I don't expect James Crowder to get 70 targets every week. That's not like that's not sustainable. There's no way. Like it's a fluke. That's all it is.
Yeah. But they needed that slot receiver, right? And that's exactly the role that he plays in.
Yeah. Quincy Enunwa is an afterthought, -4 yards today. So that's not good.
if you drafted him, you're an idiot.
Yep. The next team we're going to talk about is the Vikings versus the Falcons. The Vikings wiped the floor with the Falcons. Cousins only threw for 10 attempts for 100 yards and a touchdown. So if you own Kirk Cousins, you're upset. But Jesus Christ, did the running backs look good. Dalvin Cook looked amazing. Madison looked great.
Do you know what worries me about that is, do you think that could technically, I mean, turn into a 50-50 split possibly?
I mean, if they're running, I mean, if a running back is getting 20 carries, he's, and the other guy is getting 10 carry, I don't know. I don't think it's going to turn to 50-50 split. I think they're going to run the ball enough where they're both going to be usable, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So,
I don't know how else to word that.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you start Dalvin Cook, you could technically use Madison as a flex option, right?
Exactly, yeah. We'll see how it progresses. I mean, they were destroying the Falcons. I don't know if this is how they would normally run their offense. I mean, Abdullah got 2 carries as well, So we'll see how this actually shakes up. But if this is the case, I mean, I think Madison's definitely going to be, flex worthy on bye weeks for sure, at the very least, moving forward.
Yeah, I agreed. And outside of that, there's not really. Thielen got 1 touchdown, caught all 3 of his targets. Boring on that side of the ball. And I mean this whole game was boring. Yeah, this whole game was boring, and shocked me that Ryan
looked awful.
Yeah, and
he looked like Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. And I'm going to wait till my start sit article. I did hit on a lot of my guys this week.
Oh, nice.
Not so much Derrick Henry, but I did, for the majority of the part, I think it was probably the best week I've had in probably 2 years of writing that article. So
nice. Well, it is a fluky week, so you got... Okay, bad joke.
No, I was going to laugh, but I thought you were going to say something else.
No. So over on the Falcons side, I don't know. Devontae Freeman, like going into like the third quarter, he had like -3 points for me on one roster. So I was like, that's not good. Ito Smith looked a lot better than him today.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the issue? Was it just like the Vikings just gobbled them up, or
good,
what the fuck?
The Vikings were very good today, defensively, and they were going to have they were good against the run even last year, but they look like they once you saw Matt Ryan kind of struggling there, I think they were kind of stacking the box a little bit.
Yeah, makes sense. On the receiving end of the Falcons, I just want to talk about Hooper. I fucking love Hooper.
Oh yeah, so do I.
Like I try to draft him everywhere. Like he was being drafted in like the 12th or 13th round. And I feel like he's going to end up being in like the wide receiver 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Like every season he's just gone up in value. So he got 9 targets, caught all 9 receptions for 77 yards. He looked great. Well, he didn't get any touchdowns, but still, like that's nice to see.
But let's not forget though, last year started out the same way, right?
Yeah,
he had
true.
a big first week, and then he kind of fell off a little bit as well. So if this stays consistent, which I don't understand why it wouldn't, because Ryan likes him, and he's when he's relied on, he's catching everything.
Yeah.
And then Calvin really looked decent. I mean, he played the role of that wide receiver too, and he was 4 for 64 with a touchdown as well. So
he looks good. And Julio Jones was, he 11 targets. He only came down with 6 for 31 yards. He wasn't great. He isn't the best wide receiver in the game anymore, but he was good enough.
I think that Minnesota game planned very well for him though.
Yeah, this isn't going to be the Falcons of the future. Like they're going to be better than this. It's a fluky week 1. The Vikings won. I'm glad they did. They needed it because last year they started off super slow and just were awful the rest of the season. No more things to note. So let's move on to another game that was awful. The Dolphins versus the Ravens.
God.
Like there's a report. Like it was 59-10. There's a report going around that the players are asking for trades because they don't think the Dolphins, the coaching staff is actually trying to win games, and I don't know if they're wrong about that.
It looked bad. Like I was watching this game, like I was telling you earlier, just watching kind of all these scoring plays, and I was like, "What the hell is going on right now?" Just watching Lamar Jackson just destroy that defense was crazy.
Look, people are going crazy over Lamar Jackson. I think he's fine. I don't think he's a quarterback 1.
No, I drafted him in a few leagues as a quarterback 1 only because I sold out on the position during drafts. Right? Do you know what I mean? I said I was just going to take whatever guys I could. I think I drafted him in like the 12th round in a couple leagues.
Right.
So and then I have a few teams. I got Jackson, Cousins as my QB 1 and 2. But
nice.
Like I said, only because I waited so long to draft a quarterback.
Right. Yeah. No. I don't buy this. If you have Jackson personally, I would tell you to trade him. If you can get like Aaron Rodgers or Carson Wentz, go for it. I don't think this is real. Like he only had 20 attempts, 5 touchdowns is ridiculous. He did run. He didn't have any rushing yards, so it was a weird game. So I guess the most intriguing. There's so much. I mean, I don't know what you can really take away from this. It's a little crazy. Mark Ingram had 14 carries, 2 touchdowns. Gus Edwards had 17 carries. What's real and what's not with this game is kind of,
You know what? That's funny. I didn't even realize Edwards had that many touches.
Yeah.
That would be my guess, so it would be game flow. I'm assuming that Ingram probably came out maybe early in the third, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And then they put Gus Edwards in. I still think Ingram is a fine running back too.
Right. He's not this. He's not going to do this every game. No.
Definitely not 2 touchdowns.
And I don't think Gus Edwards is going to get 17 carries. And I mean, they literally involved every player that they own in the rushing game. This isn't real.
Who's Levine Senior? Like I never even.
Nope. But he got 60.
60 yards on 1 rush.
It was, I don't think it's sustainable. And then when you go to the receivers, you have Brown, Andrews, and they both had over 100 yards and touchdowns. Like that's not real. I don't think Andrews is going to do that. I mean, 8 targets is a lot, but still.
Yeah, I think Andrews is going to be fine. Like not that kind of numbers, but I think you got to keep an eye on Hollywood Brown's numbers. So, like that's not going to be 4 for 147, but he's going to be. I think he's going to be their wide receiver 1 in this offense.
Sure, yeah, I don't disagree with you on that sense, but I don't think they're going to have those opportunities to throw those bombs every game.
Everybody gets tape after the first week now, right? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're not going to be giving them that much space. But what was weird was they back to back he scored 2 long touchdowns, and you got burnt for whatever it was, 47 yards. You're going to still give him more room to catch that long one. So yeah, they're going to tighten up coverage on him a little bit, and he's not going to be doing this very often. So
yeah. I don't buy into it. I mean, either way, I think he's a wide receiver 3 at best going forward. This isn't real. On the Dolphins, that's my opinion. You guys argue all you want about that one. I just don't know if that's. I would trade him high. Trade someone send a trade offer Brown for Evans. See if they accept. On the Dolphins side, quarterbacks, nothing to talk about because they sucked. Running backs, Balaj was announced starter. He did get more carries, but he ended up with -1 yards. So that's that.
Minus 0.2 yards per carry.
That's not good, man. That's not good at all.
That's horrendous.
I don't know. I don't think the Dolphins are this bad. I feel like it's a fluky week. I think the Dolphins are a little better than this. Just a tad bit, Let's just hope for it.
Well, they can't be this bad. Honestly, a high school team could have beat them today.
Yeah, they looked awful.
Yeah. Out of the receiving game, the only thing I guess I could really Devontae Parker, he looked okay, 3 for 75, and that rookie Preston Williams, who was getting all that hype coming out of the preseason,
he caught the touchdown.
He caught a nice touchdown in the back of the end zone as well. So
yeah, I mean, moving forward, I think Devontae Parker is the wide receiver to own. If he's able to do this consistently, he's a wide receiver too. I don't know. Would you add him? Is he addable? Maybe not on a waiver wire, but he's a free agent. He might be worth grabbing.
Who's that? Parker?
Yeah.
No. I honestly, I don't know if I can add anybody from Miami. And Parker, he's burnt me so many times. I just don't know if I could even I wouldn't even want to waste my time writing something on him.
I don't disagree with you. I'm a Dolphin fan, so I'm just throw a dart at the board, see what sticks.
Yeah, but they have to be better. They have to be better than this.
Yeah, no, they should be kicked out of the NFL if they continue. If this happens against the Ravens are a playoff team, that's fine. But if they do this against
59
the Jets or the Bills,
points, man, 59 points, that's insane.
That's bad.
Yeah,
that's like if you were playing Tennessee and Cleveland and it was 43-13.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
that was shocking.
Yeah. Let's do the Kansas City game first. There was some pretty shitty news in this one. Nick Foles went down, and Tyreek Hill went down. So I don't think we're going to be seeing Nick Foles anytime soon. And Tyreek Hill is going to be out for a few weeks.
Yeah, I read 3 to 6.
Oh God, that's brutal.
Yeah, something about his sternoclavicular joint injury or something like that. And he had to actually go to the hospital.
Yeah. They said if it went out the other direction, it would have been life threatening, but
Jesus.
It's fine. Patrick
Mahomes.
Mahomes.
All I'm going to say is karma, baby. That's it.
Yeah, maybe.
I will say, you know my feelings on him.
Yeah.
I
hear you. I got him for dirt cheap. He was that was well deserved for him. So let's move on to the Chiefs versus the Jags. This one, there's some pretty sad news on both teams. The first one was Tyreek Hill is going to be out 3 to 6 weeks. He hurt his clavicle, and then Nick Foles broke his clavicle, and he's going to be out indefinitely. And then Patrick Mahomes actually rolled his ankle. So there was a lot of injuries on this game. But let's go to the Chiefs side first. How serious was the injury, Clayton? Did you see it?
Tyreek Hill's?
Mahomes. Yeah.
He just got rolled up on a little bit. He was trying to, I believe, get out of the pocket. He got tackled, and someone just kind of rolled up on him. I did see it slow motion. It didn't roll too bad, but I think obviously discomfort, right? So
yeah,
he did walk off, missed this play, I believe, but came back on. His ankle was wrapped pretty good. So
yeah, I mean he'll be there. I bet he'll be out there next week. We'll see how he played through the game, so I'm sure he's fine for next week. So for the running backs, LaShawn McCoy had 81 yards on 10 carries, and Damian Williams had 13 for 26. We'll see what ends up happening with this, but it looks like LaShawn McCoy is the better back of the two right now. Are you buying into LaShawn McCoy, or are you staying away from him?
I'm kind of buying into. I think Andy Reid's going to do something that he's never done before, and I think he's going to run a running back by committee.
Yeah, I agree.
He never did that in any team he coached, any back he coached, but he said, he came right out and said they're both running back ones. and it's 50-50 split, pretty close.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what ends up happening with these two. I mean, I don't imagine. I don't know what I imagine. I don't know what's going to end up happening. I don't feel like Damian Williams can carry the load, and LaShawn McCoy has carried the load in the past. So we'll see what ends up developing. If I had to own one, I guess I'd own LaShawn McCoy, but I'm going to kind of stay away from both of them for the most part.
Well, that was just annoying because that there was all that hype on about Williams. I have him on a team, and people are drafting him in like the second, early third. And then for them to all drafts pretty much be done, and then a week before the season starts, and boom,
he's there.
McCoy's on the team. Yeah, exactly. So
over on the wide receivers, Sammy Watkins was a man. 11 targets, 200 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So if you started him, you won your game.
Oh, I got bit by a few leagues against him.
Yeah, that sucks. I actually have someone that I was playing against that benched him, so I was fucking happy about that. And he benched Lamar Jackson for Patrick Mahomes, so I was got super lucky on that one. So with Tyreek Hill possibly missing 6 weeks, who do you think is going to be the biggest beneficiary between, I guess, Kelsey and Watkins?
I think, like I said, like Watkins, I believe is going to be the beneficiary of it. I think he's going to see consistent targets while Tyreek Hill is out, because he was catching the ball when Hill was there. He was already being targeted, right? So it's not like he only had one catch for say 5 yards when Tyreek Hill was in.
Right.
He had already scored a touchdown and everything while Tyreek was there, right? So Mahomes was looking at him often at the beginning of the game even. So I think he's going to be able to carry maybe not 11 targets, and you'll never see a 9-catch, 198-yard, 3-touchdown game from him again this year. Well, you better not.
Right.
But anyway, but you know what I mean. But he's going to be he slides right up in there as a viable starting receiver on your fantasy team for sure.
Yeah, I think he's unbenchable or matchup proof going forward as long as Tyreek Hill's out. And I think same goes with Travis Kelce. And we'll see if McCole Hardman can do anything. He got 1 target this game with 0 receptions. He was their first draft pick of this from last year. He didn't do anything, so I don't feel like he's viable going forward. But we'll see how that develops and how they transform with, life without Hill.
Exactly.
So for the Jags, Foles went down. He looked okay, but the new guy that came in looked pretty fucking good. I think he went like 15 attempts without missing a target, which was pretty good.
He went. I think he was 13 for 13, and then he missed his 14th one. I think is what it was. But do you see this dude's stash? He's got the sweetest mustache. This guy. Oh yeah, I saw him when he first put his helmet on. I was like, oh, I'm getting him on my team. Look at that mustache.
Is he worth? You think he's worth grabbing? Like I'm an SFB and I lost Foles and I lost Luck. So right now all I have is Trubisky.
Oh, and that's not even that good. Jesus.
No.
You know what? I would say even because he played a lot of preseason games. He played. I believe he was in every preseason game, and he was like viable. Like he played with all these guys already, right? He played with the first string, the second string, all that stuff like that. And I mean, if you're desperate and you need a guy, I mean, I would sooner have him than, let's say, well, he hasn't played yet, so I can't really say, but a guy like Flacco or Fitzpatrick or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's true. And he has upside.
Yeah, and in most cases too, there's not a lot of QBs, especially if you're in a 2 QB league, that are going to be able to, have weapons that he has, right?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I picked up Ryan Tannehill once I lost Luck because I couldn't afford Jacoby. So I am hurting at quarterback pretty bad. So for the running backs, Fournette got all the carries practically. He looked fine with them, but they were out early, the Jags were, so he wasn't able to really get into the game. Yeah. But Chark, Conley, and looked fucking great, dude. Yeah. They looked really good.
Chark was like... that touchdown that he caught in the corner of the end zone, that was a perfectly thrown ball by Foles.
Yeah.
And
that's the injury happened.
Yeah, that's exactly when the injury happened. So, I mean, I got to see where I think if Minshew is the guy, I think he has more rapport with Chark, I think, than he does, say, with a guy like Dede. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just because I think he's played more with Chark and Conley both. I've always liked Conley, even just never had that chance in KC, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but like he was targeted 7 times, 6 for 97, a touchdown as well. I think D.D. Westbrook's still the guy, but I think to own. He was targeted 6 times, still scored a touchdown as well. But yeah, I don't know, maybe not. I haven't really thought about it as far as I never usually think about Jacksonville like that. Like I'd have to make that decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, they're not a throwing team traditionally, so we'll see what happens with this. I think Conley, I mean, he did get the most targets, and they were mostly done with this new guy, Gardner. So we'll see how that progresses. I personally, I like Conley, and I like Westbrook. I think Chark's a deep threat, and he was able to do that. So I think they're all viable right now. You just don't know who to go. So I'm probably going to pick up Conley as a free agent, not in the waiver wire. Don't want to waste that. But we'll see what happens. I think that kind of does it for the Jags. The other game that was awful? We had a lot of awful games. Tennessee against Cleveland. Jesus, Mayfield looked like shit, dude. 3 interceptions?
Yeah, he looked like a bust big time. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm a huge fan of him, but I can't believe that Tennessee dominated him the way. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it didn't really start happening until like the fourth quarter. They had scored 21 unanswered points. So, I mean, it just kind of piled up on them. I don't know what went wrong. It must have been a defensive thing. I don't know. Hilliard went down with an injury for the Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland, that was the replacement for Duke, right? When he had such a good preseason, he's exactly the same running back that Duke is. So.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure how long he'll be out or if he'll miss any time, but
it's just a concussion. Not just a concussion. It's a concussion, so we'll see. He could be out 1 to 2 weeks, maybe. Odell Beckham looked good, 11 targets. Jarvis Landry looked okay as well, with 7 targets, 67 yards. Not much other note. Joku looked fine. I would say he's probably like a low end wide receiver 1 going forward. I don't know, like he's anything more than that. There's just too many weapons over there.
Oh man, I just got an email from Dale, actually, with some pretty sweet stats from NFL Communications today. And we just passed over all these games.
No.
Damn it. Maybe talk about. I'll tell him he can talk about them tomorrow.
Yeah, that's
bring
fair.
them up. So.
Well, we're almost done. We got one more game to go. So on the Tennessee side, Mariota looked great, which is weird. Derrick Henry looked good, which a lot of people were expecting that. The guy that really showed
what? I was completely opposite of that. I had Henry as on my do not start list. Yeah, I just thought that Cleveland against the run was going to be so much better than what they were. And the worst part about that was I said Tennessee's going to go down early. I'll be the first to admit when I fuck up. But the last line in my article is like, once Tennessee gets down early, Derrick Henry has nothing to prove in the passing game. And then he fucking gets a 75-yard touchdown catch.
Oh, you were wrong on that one, dude.
Oh, yeah. Oh, very, very.
I wouldn't say that Henry is the pass-catching back on that offense, but today he got that one catch for 75 yards and a touchdown, which is a fluke. It's not real. Don't believe in that.
Yeah, I know, but, you guys that read that, right, that's what they won't remember the fact that go talk about Delaney Walker. I said I like Delaney Walker in this one. I got shit on by that on Twitter as well, and
I benched him. I benched him for Whaler. Yeah. That's a mistake.
It's Waller.
Waller, thanks. Whalen. I'm calling him the Whalen. Okay. So A.J. Brown, a rookie, went fucking crazy today. 3 receptions for 100 yards. Some rookies went really crazy. I don't think that's real. I mean, Corey Davis didn't do jack shit. So it's kind of weird to see, A.J. Brown showing up before Corey Davis does. But it was a weird game. I don't know if we can expect that from A.J. Brown moving forward.
I wouldn't. And one of these stats from NFL Communications, they were talking about 4 rookies: Tennessee wide receiver A.J. Brown, 100 yards; Baltimore Hollywood Brown, 147; Hawkinson, 131 yards; and Terry McLaurin, each recorded at least 100 receiving yards in their first debuts on kickoff weekend. So that's huge.
Yeah, that is big.
4 rookies like that to do that. And I think the biggest surprise, like I said, out of all of them was, in my opinion, was probably Hawkinson, only because everyone's always saying that they, tight ends coming out of college have a tough time in their first year.
Not
right?
him. He fucking showed up.
He dominated.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the last game that we're going to talk about is the Rams versus the Panthers. Man, Cam Newton looked rough, dude. Like, really rough. So the biggest thing to note, I personally love DJ Moore. He's shown that he is wide receiver 1 on that offense, and McCaffrey is possibly, I think, the best running back in the game right now.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. When I finally looked at his stats, I was like, wow. Like, because when I'm watching games and stuff like that, you don't really, like, I watch Red Zone, so it bounces back and forth, so you don't really get to see, like, if you're watching a regular game, you can see every single play. I couldn't believe his numbers when I looked at it.
He looks great. I mean, he could, like, he's like LT, like, light. Like, he's almost there. If he could put this up for the entire season, like, that's incredible.
And I think he will. Like, another 11 targets, 10 catches. Like, he's insane.
Yeah, I agree. And DJ, like I said, DJ Moore had 10 targets and 76 yards. It was a rough game for the Panthers overall, but I'm happy to see that Moore got, was top targeted receiver. I know McCaffrey got targeted him, but he was, happy to see that.
That was another thing. I thought it was going to be a more Curtis Samuel game, this one, just because of the versatility that Samuel offers. But, I was wrong on that one, too. But I like DJ Moore as well.
Yeah, no, I drafted DJ Moore. Literally in every single league, I have DJ Moore. He was just falling in the right spots. Yeah. And right now I'm happy with that decision. He didn't score any touchdowns, but I'm happy to see his workload. The Rams looked good. They dominated most of this game. Todd Gurley, 14 carries, almost 100 yards, and then Brown, 11 carries, 2 touchdowns, 53 yards. You think this is going to be the norm going forward?
Yeah, I do. I believe, and I picked him up in our Dynasty League. I picked up Brown for nothing. And just because it got all this word, like they were talking about how Henderson, everyone's so high on Henderson, drafting him as the backup. And they said straight out, I can't remember where I read it, but they said like every team has like that good, pass catching running back nowadays, right? So they were talking like that's why they had drafted Henderson 2B, but obviously he didn't get anything in the passing game today. But they said Malcolm Brown, he was signed. Was he not offer sheeted by the Lions and didn't? And then Rams came back and matched him, right? Which that was kind of shocking. Then they went along and drafted Henderson. So when I did hear about Brown as the handcuff to Gurley, I bought in right away, and it showed today.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I mean, I guess Brown is a handcuff to own, and that's I think most people will be shocked by that. So pick him up.
I wouldn't sit there and start him all the time because I even said to guys I was talking, people were asking me about Gurley. I said, you know what, I'll start Gurley with 15 touches a game. Right. Because even last year he only averaged like 18 a game. Right. So yeah, sure, he's going to lose maybe obviously say 11 carries like he did today. Gurley still put up almost 100 yards on. Well, he did 100 total yards, but he still put up 6.9 average on the ground. Right. So
yeah, he looks good.
Yep.
I mean, we'll see if he's going to get sniped the entire season from Brown on the red zone. So
yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, so we'll see what happens next week and kind of have a better idea moving forward.
Yeah. So on the receiving end, Woods, Kupp, Cooks. I mean, we know all that. The only shocking part about this game was Higbee. I don't know if it's shocking, but it is interesting that he had 5 targets, 4 receptions and 20 yards and a touchdown. So I don't know how realistic this is, but I mean, he could be. What you think it's possible? He's a tight end that's worth owning.
No. I would say no. Well, Everett was the guy last year, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Everett finished the game strong, or finished the season strong last year. I think I ranked Everett. I didn't rank Higbee, but I think each week you're going to see one of those guys perform.
Yeah.
So if you want to draft one and try to pick which one and which week that's going to be tough to do week to week, especially with Woods, Cooks, and Kupp all there as well, right?
Exactly. So that kind of does it for most of our games. We can talk a little bit about the Patriots dominating the Steelers, hard, 27-3.
Yeah, Dorsett caught two touchdowns today.
Holy shit! Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but that's going to come. I wouldn't buy into that though neither. Like obviously, once A. Brown comes back, or once A. Brown will be on the field next week.
Yeah,
unless he gets
exactly.
suspended between now and then,
which is possible, or cut.
it cut. But yeah, I was going to say, where do you think that leaves? Demaryius Thomas probably going to be the odd man out, right?
I mean, right now he has 0 targets, 0 receptions. So yeah, I mean he is a nobody. I think it's going to be Josh Gordon, Edelman, and Antonio Brown. I mean, Philip Dorsett. I feel like if Antonio Brown wasn't there, this could be his breakout year. Like this is a good start for him.
And he's always been good, right? He always goes to teams where there's already a number one receiver.
Yeah, and this team has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 receivers.
Yeah, they got tons. And then in the running game, Michelle has had 9 times already.
8 yards.
So he's clearly definitely not yardage isn't there, but
yeah, Burkhead. This is just an awful game overall. James Conner looks mediocre. James Washington has the top receiver with 1 reception for the Steelers. So this is going to be another throwaway game for the Steelers, and I think it's a throwaway game for the Patriots as well, because this is going to be the same team you see next week. So I don't think you should take anything you see from this at all moving forward.
I mean, I would like to see Sony Michel's numbers go up a little bit. I'd like to see how he would be, in the game if it was a tight game right now. You know what I mean? How much work he'd be getting.
Yeah, I mean he got all the work in the first two
series.
Yeah, but after that he didn't do anything with them. So it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, that'll do it for our first episode of the NFL season. Any last words, Clayton?
It was exciting to get back into actually watching some real football for once.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be long. Hopefully, it's not this wonky all season. Hopefully, the Dolphins win like 5 games, maybe 2.
That's not happening.
No,
maybe
I would be happy with 2.
I'll give him 2. I'll give him 2.
I don't want them to be the like the Lions, Dolphins, or the Buccaneers of 0 and 16 or 17. God, that'd be awful. All right, guys, you have a great one. Have a great week. Goodbye.
Peace.
Yeah. Eat, sleep, fantasy, you rockin' with the best. NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We talking mock drafts, running backs, better follow the conversation with John, Dale, Christian, and Armando. Screaming Eat Nation, we doing what we like. Tune in every week, guaranteed we get it hype. Fantasy football enthusiasts, I know you plan to be joining us on Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Yeah, Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Eat, Sleep, Fantasy.